Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. So yeah, this is the beginning of a SQL tutorial that I've been talking about for a while, and I'm really excited that it's finally here. So welcome to the start-ish of the SQL tutorial that's going to be running for a while. I say ish because this is video number 2 for this tutorial. The first video was just showing you guys how you can upload your CSV onto your MySQL. So it's not really like getting into the nitty-gritty of SQL. It's more of like, okay, if you don't know how to upload a CSV into MySQL, go learn it through that video. Yeah, then we continue. And in case you don't have MySQL, I've also linked a video, like a tutorial that I used to download my SQL. But yeah, you don't really need to download my SQL. Like whatever platform you're okay using, you can use it. And yeah, follow along this, learn some SQL. Let's get into it. So what are we going to learn today? The basics of SQL. We're going to look at SQL Select, From, Where, and Limit. Yeah, and I think we're also going to look at Order By, because this last question, I think we'll need Order By. But yeah, let's get into it and find out. And the first thing is one that we already have here. So that is select all from country data dot country data tutorial. So what is happening here? So I'll just run it again on my SQL. If you're running something, you click on this. So you don't really need to highlight if that's the only code you have there, because it will automatically just run it. But in case you have several blocks of code, you actually have to highlight the one that you want to run. So yeah, so what is this asterisk? So this asterisk is what are they called? It's a thing in SQL, wildcard. That is the word I was looking for. It's a wildcard in SQL. So when you do an asterisk, SQL knows to select everything, to select all the columns. So yeah, so that's the first step. Select all from country data. And this is what you get. So let me just, in case you're totally new and you have, like, you've come here, you have you've loaded onto your table, like, what do you do when you want to run? So you come to the schema you created, the table, check for the tables that are there, and then in the tables that are there, you just click here. And that will automatically create for you a new environment, or should I say cell, as a Python person, where you can start doing your coding. So yeah, that's something that honestly, I didn't really know when I was first starting to use MySQL. So I thought I'd just put it out there so that we're all on the same page. My policy, never ignore the small things, you know. Anyway, it's not time for stories. Let's continue. So the next thing, print out the content of the country, child mods, and GDPP. Okay, so those 3 columns, and only output 30 rows. So how do we go about this? We're going to do select. And what are we selecting? We want country. So you could type it or you could write it. So I like to, just to make your thing look neat. So we're interested in country, we're interested in child mortality, and lastly, we're interested in GDPP. And we are getting all this from, so don't be like me, or let me just capitalize keywords, yeah? We're getting all these keywords from actually country data. And we only want the first, like, we only want to output 30 rows. So you limit it to 30. Okay, so just something that you need to pay attention to. After when you call each column, you need to put a comma between, like the first column you called and the second column you called. So when you call country, comma, then we call child mortality, comma, then we call GDPP, no comma, because we're not calling anything else. So anytime you're inserting anything in the SQL select clause, make sure it's followed by a comma, unless there's nothing following whatever column you're calling or creating. You'll understand what I mean by creating as we go on with this tutorial. Yeah, so we'll do some you can do some calculations on one column, two columns, and create a new column. So it could be something you're creating or something you're calling that already exists. So yeah, let's run this and see what happens. So remember to select it. And there you go. As you can see, we have our country, child mortality, GDPP. Yeah, and there you go. So let's say if we change this to, we only want to output 5. We only want to output 5. Remember to highlight that, then run. So as you can see, we've only outputted 5. Let me take it back to the original question that wanted us to do 30. So let's highlight that and run. Okay. Yeah, let's go to the next question. So the whole point is to just practice, 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 and practice is the key to mastering anything. The more you do it, the more you get better at it, the more you identify, oh, I used to do this way, I found an easier way, or what I was doing was probably not correct, but the more you do it, you make sense out of it. So yeah, let's go to another question. Select all the columns of the data set where inflation is less than 10. So at this point is where we are going to introduce the SQL Select. Where, sorry. So we are selecting, and this time we want all. So instead of writing all the column names, which are for sure more than 3, you can use the wildcard, the asterisk, which is the wildcard. So we want to select all from country data where inflation is less than 10. Okay, so what we are going to do first, let me just limit this to 5, because I cannot remember. I cannot remember how the inflation column, okay, it's written in full. So I'm selecting all from country data where inflation, okay, there it is. Where inflation is less than 10. So it has to be less than 10. 10 is not inclusive, yeah? So yeah, let's run that and see what happens. So let's check the inflation column. As you can see, if you quickly run through it, there's nothing that's above 10. Though, of course, this is just me scanning through with my eyes. When we're writing queries that are a bit more complex, there are better ways to truly confirm that the logic you applied on your query did work. Sometimes the positioning of your filter could be off and it could make your filter not work. So now we can just eyeball, but there are better ways to do this. So yeah, that's it. So you're selecting all from the data set that you're interested in where inflation is less than 10. And yeah, let's go to another question we are going to use. So this here is something we called comparison operator in SQL. And the purpose of this video, of this tutorial, is to just introduce you guys to the basics of SQL, to just get a feeling of, okay, what is this SQL? That's why I'm like, okay, learn about select, from, where, limit, and we're going to learn about order by in the last question. But I'm going to have a dedicated video to various comparison operators in SQL. And that's actually the video that's going to follow this one. So yeah, stay tuned. So if you found value in this video so far, please feel free to like, let me know in the comments also, and if there's something that you specifically want me to cover around SQL, be it CTEs, be it Windows functions, etc., please go down in the comments and be like, oh, Stacey, I'd like you to cover this and whatnot. And yeah, also subscribe so that as I keep creating more content, we are in this journey together. Anyway, let's go back to the video. So what's happening here? So it's select countries whose income is between 10K and 25K. Yeah. So at this point, I don't think you could select all the columns, but let's just stick to the columns that we are interested in. So we are selecting and we want country. We want country. And we also want income. How is it here? Okay. We also want income from and then where. So this is where you apply the logic that actually answers the question. So where income is between and 10 and 24 and 25, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, let's run that and see what happens. Okay, there you go. So let me tell you guys something. So there's this whole argument of, oh, should I start with MySQL? Should I start with Postgres? Should I start with SQL Lite? To some extent, it doesn't matter. Can you imagine? So I predominantly write SQL in PostgreSQL. Yeah. So even as I was typing between 10,000 and 25,000, in my head, I was like, okay, I'm not really sure what's going to happen because I do this on Postgres like every single day. And I could say this is my first time writing using MySQL, and voila. So yeah, to anyone who's beginning this journey, please don't get caught up in, oh, Postgres, oh, MySQL, oh, SQLite. You can easily switch between them. Like as long as you learn one and master it, a lot of the functions are the same. The syntax is the same. The only thing is MySQL will have extra functionalities that Postgres probably doesn't have. Postgres probably does some date functions that MySQL doesn't have, or MySQL is better with date functions and Postgres doesn't have so many ways to manipulate date functions. So yeah, don't get too lost into which SQL you should start. You just pick one and start practicing. That's all that matters, yeah? So yeah, so we have country, income, and so we are selecting the country and income here from country data, where income is between 10,000 and 25,000. Yeah, so let me do the last question. Then we talk a bit more about, okay, me as a data analyst, how do I use SQL? Why is SQL a key why is SQL a key skill for anyone who wants to get into data, be it data science, data analytics, or data engineering? So yeah, so we want to select 5 countries with the lowest child mortality. Okay, so select, and we're going to pick country. So since I already have it, no need to, and I believe I had child mods here. I remember what I told you guys. So since I'm not putting any other column, I'm not calling any other column after this, I don't need to have a comma there. From country data. And we want select 5 countries with the lowest child mortality rate. So what we can do here, we can use order by. Yeah. Order by. So we want to order by child mortality, yeah. And the default setting for order by is in ascending order. So that's from the lowest to the highest. So once we order it by child mortality, we'll limit it to 5, since we're only interested in 5 countries with the lowest child mortality. So yeah, so as you can see, Iceland, all 5, Iceland, we have Singapore, Luxembourg. I hope I pronounced that well. Singapore, Sweden, and Finland. So Iceland has the highest child mortality at 2.6. So as I mentioned, order by automatically, the default is on ascend. Yeah. So what happens when we do descend? So if you want it in descend, you have to explicitly say descend. Okay, let's run this. So as you can see, it now orders, it now picks the top 5 with the highest, you get, because now it's descending from the highest to the lowest, and you can see it's Haiti, Sierra Leone, Chad, Central African Republic, and Mali. Yeah. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Maybe I can just tell you guys a bit about like so me as a data analyst, I use SQL a lot. In my current job, I predominantly do data analysis using SQL. And I feel like SQL is a very important and key skill to have for a data analyst, because how are you going to access the data that you want to analyze? These are very basic questions that I'm answering to just give you guys a feel of, okay, what is this SQL? What does it do? But as we continue with this tutorial and answer and do a bit more complex things, get into projects, which is something I'm very excited about, answer more not very straightforward questions, you will see why SQL is very important, because I use SQL to create data sets. Yeah, here we're just pulling from one table. You get into a company and you're going to be pulling from several tables, 100 plus, 50 plus tables, yeah? And at a point in time, you could be working with data from maybe 10 tables, 20 tables. I don't know if I've done 20 tables. I should actually probably go and check what's the highest number of tables I've ever pulled data from, but I don't think that's important. But yeah, my point is you put data from various tables to create a data set, because maybe you have one table that is tracking customer transaction data, another one is tracking their location, another one is tracking their logging activities, etc. And you want to see how those 3 variables relate. So you have to pull data from these 3, 5, 10 tables, probably create metrics, and at the end of it all, you have a finished data set that you can now come and answer such questions, probably do some visualization, create a dashboard. And without SQL, even you as a data scientist, where are you going to get the data sets that you're going to train your model on before you actually get to deploy your machine learning model? For data engineers, it's a whole other story. It's a whole other story, because they are involved in building the infrastructure that allows us as data analysts, data scientists to be able to access this data. They are responsible for the tables that we can easily access and work on, etc. But anyway, the point of this video is to not tell you guys, oh, why is SQL important? What is the difference? How does a data engineer, data analyst, data scientist use an SQL? I just wanted to give you guys, an idea of, okay, once you get into the job market, what's going to happen? Or if you've gotten into the job market, like me, who I spent a lot of my time really perfecting on Python. Yes, I knew some SQL. I could use Tableau, but I spent more energy on Python. I learned data analytics using Python, but I got into a role that needed me to use SQL more. So this is a very good tutorial for anyone who's new and is looking to get into data analytics, but this is also a very good tutorial for someone who's already in the field and you're like me who got in using one tool, but you're required to use another tool. This is definitely for you. Otherwise, yeah, that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you liked it, please smash the like button, put a comment below, let me know what you liked about it, let me know what else you want me to create. And yeah, I'm excited, you guys. Like, I really enjoyed creating the Python tutorial, doing some projects, and I can't wait to do the same, create a bunch of SQL tutorials and do some projects that you guys can, follow along, improve your skills, get ideas on how to, build your own personal portfolio project. Yes, you can feel free to use any project that I put on this channel, but I also advise you to pick what you've learned from me and use that to build your own projects, tell your own stories with the skill you've gotten. Otherwise, guys, that's it from me. See you in the next one.